Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Today we're going to go ahead and finish up our Santa Fe operations on the Coxton Sub. And where we left off in part 1, if you haven't watched that yet, make sure to go watch it after you view this one. Of course, want to get that watch time. But when we left off in part 1, we had just finished bringing over our Coxton Sub bound cars from the Santa Fe, heading over to the Cotton Belt into Nick's yard. And we're going to cut loose here, leave this cut of cars on the arrival track, and then we're going to go ahead and move on back to the, I guess that would be the west end of the yard, back on the way to Hemphill yard. And we're going to go ahead and pick up the cut of cars that the Cotton Belt crew have set out for us. We have about 2,000 feet of train to pick up, and then we're going to head back to Hemphill yard and grab the cars over there that are waiting for us, and then we're going to go ahead and head on out of town. While we're doing that, we will take a brief pause, and we'll head over to Hemphill yard to watch as the yard crew finishes breaking down the cut that we left there over there in part 1. So lots to see today. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good episode. Looking here in Nick's yard, we see the UP hopper right in front of us is the end of our cut that we're going to pick up. This is on track 4. So anytime that trains come into Nick's yard with cars bound for the Santa Fe, the Cotton Belt crew will drop all of those cars into track 4, no matter where they come from. If they have either an industry tag at a location that the Santa Fe serves, or if they're heading off to greater destinations on the Santa Fe network, they're going to go on track 4. So once we actually pick this cut up, we'll talk about where all the different cars are going and how we're going to sort it out when we get over to Hemphill yard. Well, while all that was happening, the yard crew went ahead and got busy as soon as the local had headed on over to Nick's yard. So we're going to cut over here and catch some of this rail fanning footage as we watch this train get broken down and shipped. Well, looking at our car tags here, we've got several cars for the ice plant. We've got some cars for the UP. The COKs are heading over to the perishables industry over on the UP. All of our CODs are heading over to the lumberyard here. And then we have some COAs here in a little bit are going to go to the Santa Fe grain facility. And some COMs are heading over, or sorry, COCs are heading over to the coke facility. So quite a bit of stuff to do. We got 2 cuts of UP cars that we've got to get out of the cars here. And then we will get those in their proper tracks and start breaking down in the industries. Currently in Hemphill yard, our UP bound cars are sitting on track 2, and we don't have enough space for the 7 or so UP bound cars we have in this cut. So we're going to go ahead and put these UP cars on track 1. We don't have any further use for track 1 as it's already been cleared, and so the yard master let us know that that's where we're going to put our cars. And then at that point, when we're done doing all our switching, we will go ahead and push those cars over to the UP yard. Looking at the car tags on these 3 covered hoppers, they're all bound for COM, which is the fertilizer plant. However, notice 2 of them have a 3 at the end and 1 of them has a 2. So when we have industries on this route where car placements onto certain tracks is important and it matters, we have to label our car tags with that number indicating which track they're going to go to at the industry. So in this case, we're going to have 2 on track 3 and 1 on track 2. And of course, when we get there, if we find that there's not enough space, then we're going to have to call the yardmaster up and see what he wants us to do. We're going to do a temporary off spot and set these 3 hoppers over here on track 1 since it's empty. And what that will allow us to do is go ahead and get the other cars out of the way on tracks 2 and 3 so that then we can shove our setouts here in the back of those spurs. Here we are going ahead and backing up to connect with the first hopper. We're going to go ahead and pick just that first hopper. That way we can shove these 2 covered hoppers, the green and the red, and then that UP hopper. That way we can shove them back onto track 2. We're going to leave 2 hoppers on track 1 for now, and then head over and grab our hoppers from track 3, so that we can come over back to track 1 and grab those 2 hoppers at the end and put them back where they go. So we'll show those moves here in just a second. And here we are finally getting these last 3 hoppers back in place so that we can get them off our list and on to the next couple. And finally, after a couple of hours, it seems, of doing some switching here at the fertilizer plant, we are finally making our last spot here. We're going to put our 2 gray hoppers in the back. We've got 3 hoppers in front of those that are going to get put back on the track because they're not ready for pickup just yet. And we will finally be done. And then after that, we can head over to the grain terminal for our 1 set out. And we're going to be cutting about half of our train over at Dirk's Lumber. So our train's going to get a lot shorter and a lot easier to move after we work those 2 industries. Fortunately for us today, the spot here at the grain terminal is going to be a lot easier than the fertilizer plant. We only have 1 spot and it's going on the open track. It can't really get a lot easier than that. Well, we did get a notification via radio from the yard master here in Hemphill Yard that he's going to go ahead and bring the local back from Nick's yard, which is a cotton belt yard. And so he's asked us to make sure that we go ahead and get off the main after we complete this move. He doesn't want to keep our local waiting too long. But if you remember, which you can also see, we currently still have that local's caboose with us. So we're going to have to figure out how we want to get that caboose out of the way and ready to be picked up for the local as it makes its way back west to Little Rock. It's not every day that you get to catch a mainline train and a local switching industries in the same frame, but today's your lucky day, my friends. Enjoy this shot as we see our local coming back and our yard crew doing some switching, all on the same frame. Typically at Dirk's Lumber, the way you want to do business, if you have the space, is to put the center beam cars or the bulkhead cars on the outside track, and then put any box cars that need to be loaded on the inside track closer to the shelters for the lumber. Well, in order to comply with the yardmaster's wishes, we're going to go ahead and get this caboose back into Hemphill Yard. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set it on track 5, just past the switch, so that once the local is done putting his train back together, he can just come on out, reconnect to the caboose, and get on out of the yard and out of our way, which is the most important part. Well, to be fair, he didn't have to wait too long. Just a few minutes before we were able to get out of his way, so we're going to do one last crossover back over into the industrial area and out of his way so that he can go ahead and make his moves, and we'll get to rail fan as he does that. Well, in this local train, we actually have some hot traffic. We've got a couple of container cars here, followed by some auto racks. And so we're going to have to get those to Little Rock quickly. Plus, we have some reefers here in the foreground. So this is kind of halfway a hot train. Going to give it some priority here as we head back to Little Rock. Fortunately, on this branch line that Santa Fe has, which probably doesn't actually really exist, from Little Rock down south to Coxton, we don't really have a lot of trains. So by making it a hot train, it doesn't really have to worry about any sort of meets or anything along the way, as it's really kind of the only train that serves the branch. We will point out that at the end of this cut are 6 cars that are not bound for the Santa Fe. They're bound for industries here from Hemphill Yard. So we're actually going to have to set these out in Hemphill Yard for the yard crew to break down later. But these are the cars that normally populate the yard at the start of a working day. So once we put these in the yard, they'll stay there until quote unquote tomorrow. Yardmaster did tell us to go ahead and put the 6 hoppers on track 4 to be held for tomorrow. So we're going to make that move, pick up our 5 cars on track 3, our caboose, and head on out here. Well, with us finally connected back to the caboose, it's time to highball out of Hemphill Yard and back to Little Rock. So here we are. We're going to wave goodbye to the local, and we will see him next time, which means tomorrow. And now that we finally have the main back for use, we're going to go ahead and pull out. We've got 5 cars to set onto track 1 in Hemphill Yard, bound for the UP. And then we've got a few more cars to spot at different industries. Mostly the rest of our cars are going to go to the ice plant here on the left. And to try to save some time, we're going to try our hand once again at kicking these cars. Hopefully they'll actually make it. We'll find out here in just a few seconds. Looks like they may fall just a bit short, but the good news is we're not going to be breaking any couplers today or throwing any cars off the track, so I'd say that's a good kick. We do have 2 cars here that are bound to the gasworks. We're going to go ahead and just temporarily set them off, not at the gasworks, but on the way to the gasworks. We can go ahead and drop off these 4 wood chip hoppers, which go right here at the ice plant. All right, well, we went ahead and completed our set outs at the Coke facility. Now we're going to go ahead and grab all the UP bound cars here out of Hemphill Yard and go ahead and shove them about a quarter mile up the way toward the UP yard, and then just leave them on the interchange track, and that will be it for our work today. We will show that last scene, and then we'll go ahead and cut the video after that as we're getting close to our limit. But it's been a good time today. I've really enjoyed it. Here we are with the first cut. I do believe, if I remember correctly, that pretty much almost all these cars are heading to the perishables facility. Those tankers are definitely loaded with liquid nitrogen, which will be used to help keep the place cool. I will be honest and go ahead and say that this part of the railroad receives so much traffic in reefers that I have considered actually creating a special train to run all the way across the route just with reefers in order to serve this interchange as well as the UP interchange, which itself receives a lot of reefers from the Cotton Belt. And then also there are some places at the port in Coxton where reefers could go. So I have considered actually putting together like a daily kind of reefer special, you know, hot train kind of idea. So I'm still thinking about it. I might go with it, but if I do, I'll definitely have a video coming up far into the future where we talk about that. And here we are with both cuts heading over to the UP yard. Just want to again say thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in today. Please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I've definitely been encouraged to see the channel growth, and I just appreciate all of you guys for being here, being a part of it, and all your contributions, your comments, your likes, the things you talk about, the community that we have for those who've joined the Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord, definitely consider doing that. I'll put the link in the description. Recently, it's been really active with some new members coming in and a lot of good conversation. So appreciate it all, and appreciate all you guys, and stay tuned for more, and we will see you guys next time.